What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talk of the Tundra, a proud partner of the Eurostep Podcast Network and the Blue Wire family. As always, I am your host, Numac, and coming back to you with another off-season Packers pod is me and Jordan. Jordan, how you doing, buddy?
I am doing well. I'm currently writing as you're doing our intro, just preparing for a little bit of discussion later on in this old podcast of ours.
Gotta get that southern twang in there because
Gotta-
we were wishing we were in warmer weather and not like sleety, icy, wintry mix hell.
oh yeah, yeah, just yeah, the weirdest, awfulest weather that you can imagine.
Yeah, all of it. It's no good. So, but to brighten things up a little bit, we've got a few announcements for you right at the beginning of the pod this week. First and foremost, you listeners have a chance to win a Bobby Portis signed jersey as part of a giveaway from GSPN. Bobby was kind enough to gift us a signed jersey with a couple stipulations that you guys enter into the contest by signing up or subscribing and sending a screenshot to all five of the Eurostep Podcast Network podcasts. Send a screenshot into the Google form, which is at gspn.info, or and you can make a donation to Feeding America. I think it's Eastern Wisconsin, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Um, you can earn another entry that way by submitting your ticket. We do not want to know your credit card information, so please don't include that in your screenshot. We want none of that. We don't want we don't even want to see it. So submit your screenshot of your receipt there and get a chance to enter that giveaway. That giveaway ends on the 27th, right, Jordan? It's Monday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is
Yes.
Monday. I was like,
Yeah.
keep forgetting
I'm
my
not sure if
days.
that's the date, but it's 27th.
Last day we are taking submissions, I
Correct.
believe.
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, go sign up, help people who are in need and hungry during this winter season. So it's a good cause, and plus you can get a signed jersey from the mayor of Milwaukee. Second bit of information is we got a little meetup happening. We're gonna build the Eurostep Podcast Network, I guess, podcast house, if you may. But no, Adam and Andrew are visiting the first weekend in April for the opening of brewer season, as well as attending some Bucks games. But on April 3rd, or no, 4th, April 4th, it's a Tuesday. We are all meeting up at a to be determined location and want to hang out with you guys, watch some Bucks basketball. I think they play the Wizards in Washington, and watch the second game of the Mets Brewer series. So again, at gspn.info, you guys can check out the form to sign up and put in your interest. We do ask that if you only fill out the form if you are like dedicated into coming, because we won't want 100 signups of maybes and then only 10 dedicated people show up. So there's more info there in the gspn.info link tree, as well as on all of our Twitters. So go check that stuff out. And last but certainly not least is Repod. Join Repod. It's pretty popping over there. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Talking with the community and just having a new place to talk podcast that isn't Twitter, essentially, because Twitter
hmm
is still going down the drain. Anything else that way, Jordan? Anything I skipped over in the important bits? One thing I'm missing it.
That was the longest siren I've ever heard in my
Oh,
life, and it just kept going on and on. Like, when is it passing? It's got to pass sometime soon, right?
for you audio listeners,
Um,
Jordan had the one finger up like he was telling me to hold on, and I did not understand the message. So that's my bad.
I was gonna say no, you're all good, and then I realized I feel like I'm misleading you. But no, that is all of our big announcements. Repod,
Yep.
Bobby jersey giveaway, meetup April 4.
Come meet us, have some beers,
Yeah,
watch some sports, watch some games, all that good stuff. So
sports balls.
sports balls. Alrighty. Let's jump into. We got a little bit of Packers potpourri this week. I had fun making that title. little Packers potpourri. We're gonna talk some Aaron Jones. We're gonna talk some Allen Lazard, and a little bit of draft prospects. Plus a little sprinkle, a little like salt-based sprinkle of franchise and transition tags. So, first things first. Let's start off with the happy news. Aaron Jones is right up there with Pat Connaughton and a man of a Wisconsin sports team that deserves his number in quote unquote rafters for the franchise he plays for. It was reported, I think, earlier this week. It might have been Monday. Let's say the 22nd. Yesterday, it looks like Tuesday. As we're recording this, yesterday, Tuesday. Took a big pay cut to stay right here with the Green Bay Packers. Almost $5 million, just straight up. If his contract for next year, or rather, no, this coming year, was 16 million, and it got bumped down to 11, and will go down for each game he misses. Like he has his per game check raised, but will make less essentially if he misses games. So he's been a huge, huge, huge part of this Packers offense under the Matt LaFleur era, and I couldn't be happier to have Mr. Aaron Jones for sure confirmed back in this lineup.
Yeah, there. I could make a bunch of jokes right now. I probably will eventually, but first and foremost, it's just nice to have some stability when the biggest domino has yet to drop.
Mm-hmm.
When someone emerges from the darkness.
Right.
Um, and yeah, Aaron Jones didn't have to do that.
Nope. He certainly didn't.
Again, any of these decisions that are going to be made, whether it benefits the Packers or not, it's going to be there's how many off seasons are we going on now where it's like there's kind of like handshakes of like you sacrifice for a little bit if you want, I don't know, more money down the line or whatever. Like it feels like we've been doing this dance for a while now, obviously. And part of it is to keep the band back together, but you never know when the bass player, the lead singer might change, I guess. But throughout even when he was a free agent a couple of years ago, Aaron Jones, as much as he's in demand, he's one of the best running backs in football, all these things, he's shown a commitment to stay in Green Bay. And part of that does come down to, well, he was a fifth round pick and they really developed him out of nowhere and just, helped him become who he is. And sometimes it's not grass ain't always greener, as they say. So yeah, could other situations be better for him in the long run? I'm sure. I mean, there's still a lot of things in flux with the Packers, obviously. But again, just having arguably your most talented player on the roster make a decision like that where he sacrifices what he's worth and what he's earned willingly, that's a win. That's a win on anyone's book, besides Aaron Jones's checkbooks. But hopefully it gets better for him in a few years down the line.
Right. No, absolutely. I think that it's just kind of shows to what kind of person he is, and just in general, a team player and a guy that loves Green Bay is really what it comes down to. And I know for sure I'm thankful for it, but like you said, he didn't have to do it. Yeah, like he could have. I mean, he might have had to do it, considering if he doesn't, they maybe cut him, and he doesn't get nearly all that money. But the point being is that he was willing to work with the team and just nip this in the butt right away in the offseason rather than extend it into the season and kind of make fans and the team wait to see what they want to do. Like the storyline is over essentially. They figured it out. They checked off one of the things they need to do to get the salary cap within a manageable position this offseason.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm super stoked. Super stoked. So I'm trying to find if I can see like where that brings him towards like other running backs.
Oh, like compare him.
Yeah. For cap hit, it brings him towards the area of like Leonard Fournette, Austin Eckler, and James Conner, as opposed to what would have been if you had 5 million to that. The 13 would have been around Nick Chubb, Dalvin Cook range. So I think that's better value. Like it's
Yeah.
pretty darn good value if you ask me. Like I think he's definitely better than Leonard Fournette and
Austin
James
Eckler is
Conner.
kind of the comp too,
Yeah,
because
just like
he's very much the same super versatile, dependable running back.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
And clearly underpaid, I guess, now
right.
that I'm learning this.
I laughed because I have a Chargers buddy in one of our other discords, and he called Austin Eckler a fantasy football merchant because all he
He
does
kind of is,
is just score
but he's good.
touchdowns. But he's good. Uh, I laugh at that. Just like the funniest comparison to what you call Austin Eckler, because it is kind of true that he really
Mhm.
only cares about scoring touchdowns and just putting his image out there. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happy with it. I'm stoked, and it kind of solidifies that backfield for us for another solid year at least. So,
Yeah.
here's to you, Aaron Jones. You earn an off-season cheese, maybe two. We'll see how it goes. Um,
Yeah.
Other side of the coin, should we hop into Allen Lazard talk after the news that broke today?
Lazard.
The
Yes.
Lizard King.
Lizard King.
Um, Couple of varying storylines coming out of the Allen Lazard camp. He was on Sirius XM today with Bruce Murray and Rich Gannon, and played both sides of the line essentially. Like he told the line on telling fans and people what he was going to be doing with his career. In this next step, he talked about how he's from Iowa, so he's not like afraid of the cold, but he says, quote, I kind of want to venture out and live in a different region. At the end of the day, this is my career. I'm going to take it wherever it needs me to go to get where I wanted to go as far as my individual career. He said, quote, I think everybody would prefer the sun over the cold. I think that's just a natural human instinct. So, like, if he values his role here in Green Bay, then that could take him as far as he wants to go. But if he wants to be warm, like, then he could go somewhere else. Like, that would work. It was kind of it's not a nothing burger because I think it's at least showcasing that he might be willing to return, along with the report that Matt Lombardo of Heavy.com had come out with today, as well as, well, let's back up, came out with today as well, saying that the Packers are trying to make an effort to re-sign him. So I think that's not insignificant, but trying to re-sign him could be like, hey, you want like $7 million?
Yeah. Yeah. What was the, I think the reporting from Lombardo was making an effort, right?
Yeah,
It was like or
those are
those
the
are,
words.
yeah.
Quote,
And I was
citing
like,
league sources reports that the Packers are making an effort to re-sign veteran Allen Lazard.
we shouldn't mistake making an effort for the going to,
Yeah,
because as you mentioned, Lazard's comments were more pointed towards, they felt more like, I'm not going to be there.
yeah, I agree.
He's more openly talking about being somewhere else in his next, or talking about the next stage of his career and all these different things. Obviously, the Rodgers decision hangs over what he does too. Um, but that's not even it at this point too. Financially,
Right.
yes, the Packers can or have the ability to um match, right? Am I ready to say that?
I don't think
Not
so.
match, tag.
They could tag him, but we'll get into that in a second.
They could tag him.
We'll get into that in a second.
They have that ability. I'm just saying this right now. But we also know that he deliberately made a decision to just sign his tender to test free agency and wants to get paid big payday, which I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a good, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets like an 8-digit offer, $10 million a year at least. like he's a productive wide receiver. He's not a number one wide receiver. That was made obvious this year, and we have talked about that plenty. But for a team that needs dependable wide receiver that isn't asking to be that,
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, like we've our off season removed from Christian Kirk, DJ Shark, I think got a kind of bigger deal. Like those type of that tier of wide receivers where it's like those aren't number ones,
Right.
but based on their abilities, skills, or whatever, they can help boost a team in a very palpable way. I think Lazard easily could be that for a team that is maybe not looking to make a splash, but has to kind of pony up for his services, kind of thing.
Right. Exactly. Um, yeah, I don't think I would be willing to pay Allen Lazard like a 8-figure contract, like yearly, I should say, because I just I understand his importance within the system with the run game and just his quote unquote reliability within the organization and his familiarity with Rodgers and possibly Love. But I just think there are other areas of need that we could spend that money on if we're really going that route. Like I'm confident in Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs going into next season, and then bring in a veteran guy, or if Cobb wants to come back, or insert another wide receiver here, draft another one. We'll get into that later too. Like there's options here, right, to fill in that spot. Maybe not fill in that productivity unless Romeo Dobbs and Christian Watson can fill in that spot reliably, which again I think they can. Um, I just don't think the Packers are able to match what the open market's um gonna put for them because again, every player wants to be in this situation, and Lazard's no different. He said in his interview today, quote, "I think all players wish to be in this position at some point in their career. Having played a good season, having the option to play wherever you truly desire, I'm definitely excited to hear and see all the teams that will be interested and to see what the best option is." Like, that sounds like a man going bag hunting, and can't blame him, frankly.
I want you to go into like your Elmer Fudd voice, like it's bag season or whatever.
You can't say I'm hunting webbits because like
Yeah,
you
exactly.
need that thick W. My bag.
Bag, bag season.
So, and no, it's not like you can blame them. Like every player
No,
should go get their biggest contract they can. I'm
it's the whole reason why no one blamed Devontae Adams for doing what he did,
right.
even though
He went
it
about it a
did
little
lead to
differently, but
because you can.
because the Packers offered that contract
Yeah,
allegedly,
is that true?
supposedly that
Or well,
they offered him
allegedly.
supposedly. Gramma- we'll get into a word fight right here on the podcast, Troy, I swear to God.
Semantics
That's right.
starring Numac, Jordan Tresky.
Yes, allegedly, supposedly, the Packers offered him the biggest uh, amount they could, which was like that number that he got from the Raiders. He just didn't want to play for the Packers anymore. He wanted to play with Derek Carr, which is makes that whole situation even funnier. So, yeah, so we'll see. It makes it seem like if he wants somewhere warm and wants to go somewhere else, maybe that takes the Bears out of the equation, which like I wouldn't hate, truthfully. But like maybe
I wouldn't be surprised if they go after him. They
no, they're
need wide
no, they're
receivers,
definitely going to go after him.
and they have Luke Getsy.
Right. I no, there's no doubt the Bears would definitely go after him. It's whether or not he wants to sign there. Like
Yeah.
it is my point because if he's like it'd be great to play
Oh yeah,
somewhere,
yeah,
it'd be
yeah.
great to play somewhere warm. Like, does he value a change of scenery and money that much to where he'll leave the Packers to go to a similar quote unquote or not a quote a similar climate in the
Yeah.
Bears, who are I'd say a step or two below where the Packers are at right now. Just in like team building essentially because they have $100 million to spend this offseason. They should be semi good next year. So it's just kind of like, where does he fit in? Maybe Texans if he wants us to go make a huge bunch of money and play somewhere warm. Maybe he goes to Dallas. I don't know if they have money to spend, but maybe he goes to Arizona. They need a wide receiver.
Yeah.
play with Kyle Murray because they're trying to trade D Hop and AJ Green retired
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, he's not going to have any shortage of
of Suter.
suitors.
Yeah. So,
Um, yeah, I don't know.
but some of you might be saying, Jordan, Numac, just put the franchise tag on him. We can keep him. He can't go anywhere.
Tag, you're it, Alan.
I cannot believe you. Um, that you certainly could, dear listener. You certainly could um franchise tag Allen Lazard. The problem is that you'd have to spend or pay Allen Lazard the average of the top 5 contracts in at his position in the NFL. So I did this last week, and I just couldn't find it, but I can find it right now, I believe. Yeah, this is current contracts. So at the top is Tyreek Hill, or I'm sorry, Devonta Adams with 140 million.
Mhm.
Then Tyreek Hill at 120 million. Amari Cooper at 100 million. AJ Brown also at 100 million, and then Michael Thomas at 96 and a half.
Oof, da.
That
Oof,
one's
da.
tough.
Yeah.
Um, but if I'm not mistaken, the yeah, this is right. They have to pay Allen Lazard the average of these 5 contracts. So the average of 28, 30, 20, 25, and 19. And it comes out to like around 20 million. Something like that, which might be a little low. I Somebody had it earlier this week, but I can't find necessarily the tweet, but it's a lot of money for Allen Lazard essentially
Yes.
for 1 year.
Oh, yeah.
And I know I'm not willing to pay it, frankly.
No.
So that that goes us right into our transition or not transition, our franchise tag options. And there's not a lot of them. There's actually like 0 of them. Like
Lazard is like the only like it's not much of a think, but it's at least someone that like you would like snort at of like what
right.
you know what I mean, that kind of thing. I mean, we went through this, you know, last week going through all these names. It's like, yeah, I don't really see it. I don't see it.
Yeah, it's just the people they're losing just wouldn't make sense to have this wouldn't make sense to have on franchise tags. None of the players are worth that much, frankly. And it's just the way it is.
Yeah, yeah.
I really wish I could find that tweet of where all the prices where the franchise tags were. So, but regardless, it's gone to the wind now. But like Mercedes Lewis isn't worth his franchise tag number. It's up there in like I think high tens or not high tens, high single digits. He's just not worth it. So for all intents and purposes, don't look out for a franchise tag from anybody or even a transition tag because I think a transition tag is top 7 or something. I think it just adds a few contracts to it to lower the average, but they won't get them either because, like we said, the people that are leaving the Packers, quote unquote, like Allen Lazard, Josh Neinman, Mercedes Lewis, Bobby Tunyon, Randall Cobb, all these players aren't worth these tags, essentially.
I am also going to do this quickly. The Packers usually have never historically used the franchise tag.
Yeah, I
It
think.
was notable to circle this back to Devontae talk. It is notable because they were going to use it, or
Mhm.
they did use it on him,
Right.
and then obviously they traded him to the Raiders. Last time before that was Ryan Pickett. Ryan
The old
Pickett.
lineman, right? Oh
Yes.
my
And
God.
they eventually you sound shocked. Super Bowl champ Ryan Pickett, I
I
should
mean,
say.
yeah, but still, it's a lot.
I know. They eventually agreed to a 4-year, $28 million deal ahead of the Super Bowl season.
Hmm.
Corey Williams before that,
Okay.
Antonia Freeman,
Wow.
Dorsey Levens. It's not a lot. Those
No.
are all the names.
I did find how much they are after some digging. The number for wide receiver franchise tag is 19 million, and I think he gets that on the open market. I don't think he
Yeah.
gets that from the Packers. I wouldn't be I shouldn't say that. I don't think the Packers are comfortable paying him $19 million on the franchise tag for that essentially, and I am not either. But like tight end is 11 million. I'm not paying Mercedes or Bobby that number.
Nope.
Offensive line is 18 million. I'm not paying Yash Nyman that.
No. No, 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 no.
um,
Um,
I think
who's another?
Amos, right?
Yeah.
That's at 15. Not no. Like I'm just there's just no candidates really.
Just start clean.
Yeah,
Start clean
just
from
start
that
clean.
point on.
Yeah, like if I'm willing to bring those guys back on smaller deals, like we've been talking about, but the transition tag and the franchise tag just aren't an option for this year's crop of Packers. For
Those Packer
context,
backers.
for context, the transition tag for each of those prices is like $2 million less. So really not that big of a difference. Like the 19 to 17 issue for Lazard doesn't make it better for me. Um, and with that, I think we ought to transition. That is a cheeky little pun. Um, right into the draft combine. The draft combine starts next week. All the I shouldn't say all, some of them will skip, but um, this year's class of prospects will be filing into Lucas Oil Stadium there in Indianapolis and showing off their skills for all the scouts. Quick side note before I forget, because I saw this and I didn't get a chance to tell anybody. It's, again, super off topic. Lucas Oil Stadium is hosting the national competition for swimming in like a year. They're building a pool on top of the field and they're gonna swim in it. Do you understand how ludicrous that is? Like water is heavy, breaking news. Like I understand basketball because like it's just wood paneling and whatnot. Like you can build it and it's just fine. It's water. If it breaks, that's catastrophic. Like what the fuck are we doing here? And
That is going to be interesting to follow.
I needed to tell somebody, and I might as well tell our listeners and you because I just don't understand where the thinking comes from that, right? Like
Has it happened before?
I have no clue. But I
Because they no doubt do that knowing that there's a precedent to this, or unless they're like, we're going to be the first ones. It's like, okay, your field is drenched.
yeah, congrats. You now have an Olympic sized swimming pool's worth of water
Good
flooring
job,
Lucas Oil
Jibbers, eh?
Stadium. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's bizarre.
sorry for the quick aside. I just needed to
You get
announce
to
that.
swim in the same pool that Peyton Manning brought home an AFC championship. Actually, I
Well,
don't think that's true.
I don't
That
think
was,
that is true.
is
Like,
that before? Yeah, that was before the,
yeah,
maybe?
I think. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Regardless, the NFL 2023 draft prospects are going to be showing off their talent at Lucas Oil Stadium next week. And we wanted to dip our little piggy toes into the draft.
Like in a big Lucas Oil
That's
Stadium
right.
pool.
We wanted to take a small step into the shallow before we go cannonballing into the deep end closer to the
And to
draft.
the 50-yard line.
For what it's worth, and as a quick disclaimer, Jordan and I are both new to the drafting process
Call me a
prospect.
giraffe noob.
Right, exactly. Me as well. To the whole prospect ranking and all of this stuff. So as the draft gets closer, we're gonna bring some people on and have them talk with us about who they're looking at, who could be good fits, but as well as just us learning as we go until draft night. So with that being said, the way Jordan and I did this is we both came up with. I had four, Jordan. I don't know how many you had. I think we had talked about three, but I added a fourth as like a dual thing. But we picked 3, 4 positions of need that we think the Packers should use their first and or second round picks on, and talk through a couple of the prospects that you guys and we will watch at the combine. So, with that, do you want me to start with my feud, Jordan, or do you want to go first? Do you want to go one by one? Go like your
Yeah, let's go
yeah.
each alternate.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go first though.
My first one is edge. I think finding someone to
Hmm.
go opposite of Rashawn Gary for the eventual like end of Preston Smith's contract and just as he ages is a great thing to plan for essentially. And there's some options as we talked about pre-pod. There is a lot of options at the top of the
Mhm.
first round for edge rushers, I should say, and it kind of dwindles in the middle and then kind of picks back up later. But with Preston Smith and the Packers having a potential out next year at the end of the season, if they draft a stud, then maybe they don't need Preston Smith anymore, which would stink because he was really helpful this year. But he is he'll be 31 this year. Yeah, he'll be this is his age 31 year. So do you want me to give my two prospects first, or do you want to give your position first?
Well, I might as well submit one of my positions because Edge was also one of them.
Okay.
And to add to your whole reasoning behind your selection, Brian Gutekunst clearly likes to draft someone based on position, and if you have an incumbent starter facing a free agency year, I mean he's done it routinely. Um, and again, you never can have enough edge depth because Sean Gary's coming back from injury. Kingsley Enagbari, while showed flashes, he I would pencil him in as a rotational edge rusher at this point, not like a ready for starter snaps, I guess, starter level snaps. So yeah, he clearly likes to stock up before you have to make a big decision on one of your veteran players, and they've shown this time and time again to go after edge rushers, draft in, draft out.
Right. Um, I thought it was interesting based on what you said about drafting players of need or areas of need in contract years. And I looked up and they drafted Rashawn Gary the same year they signed Zadarius Smith. So like that was
Yeah, that was interesting.
yeah. So
That was the big, obviously the big free agency splash
yeah.
here.
So but yeah, just a definitely an interesting take. So um, for me, I put this in the context of if they trade up to well, if they trade Aaron Rodgers to the Raiders, they'll get seven. I fingers crossed, hopefully. Like that's if they don't get seven and trade Aaron Rodgers, it's gonna be very bad. I guess to the Raiders. You
Yeah.
you got my point. That being said, if they pick in the top 10, top seven essentially, player to look for is Miles Murphy. Tankathon has him going 8 to the Falcons right now, but I know it's kind of varied as to where he go. I've seen him as high as 4. I've seen him kind of a little bit lower at 10. Like it's that's how mocking drafts work. I know that much about drafting is that you can find 30 mock drafts, and if you're lucky on a certain day, you could probably find 30 different combinations of draft order.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
yeah, Miles Murphy out of Clemson. He according to NFL Draft Buzz, big just like draft website, number 2 in his position at rank, right behind I think it's Will Anderson is the top rusher. Yeah, he's slated to be the number 1 overall pick out of Alabama. But yeah, Miles Murphy, pretty good at pass rushing. In his this past year, he had 6 sacks, 7 QB hits, and 21 QB hurries in 13 games. But 34 total pressures, which is pretty darn good. His sophomore year, he had 9 sacks. So he got to the QB more, out having more QB hits this year than last year. He had none last year, just sacks. But still, when he was getting to the quarterback, he was getting home and sacking them. So first team All ACC, second team All ACC, honorary by the AP. I'm guessing the ACC gave him that first team All ACC, and then AP gave him second team.
I would assume.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's how that would work. So they have him graded out as a 65% tackler, and then a better pass rusher than a run defender. So you can't hurt having a pass rusher. Like that's
No,
basically it.
not at
But
all.
you can train tackling better. But we'll talk a little bit more about tackles later with my other positions. You have another player that you were looking at?
Yes, I do. Uh, Interesting. I also had Miles Murphy as well.
Yeah.
Lucas Van Ness
Ooh, the Iowa guy.
from Iowa. Yes. Kind of an interesting stat profile. He actually, let me bring this up from PFF. Um, had 9 sacks in his freshman, or no, sorry. I am mixing up years. Um, Made a big leap in his sophomore year. Had 9 sacks last year, 31 hurries, 6 hits, 478 snaps total. Um, they kind of put him all over the ball or
Mm-hmm.
all over the what do
Mine.
you mine? God,
That's all
ball.
right.
Um, and I don't know. He's going to be an interesting player to dive deep more into, especially with a loaded draft class, because
Yeah.
obviously Aiden Hutchinson was Iowa, right? No, Michigan.
No, he was Michigan. Hometown boy.
God, who is an Iowa draft or defensive end that I'm
You're gonna
forgetting?
make me think about this on the fly after you just announced like not 10 minutes ago that we don't do draft prospects.
Everybody, just see we are draft noobs.
Ooh, Aaron Catman. Remember him?
Aaron Cameron.
Mike
Okay,
Daniels. Remember him?
he went to Iowa.
According to the Google.
Iowa. Um. Oh, I was thinking of the Purdue guy. Um,
Drew Brees.
George Cal. He went to the Chiefs. He's a rookie this year.
You're
Doesn't
losing
matter.
me. I
I
thought you
know.
meant CJ Beathard from Iowa. Noted Iowan alum.
George Karlaftis. I was thinking he went to Iowa,
Ah, got it.
but he went to Purdue. Anyway,
Any whoozle be. Any whoozle be. Yeah.
Lucas Van Ness looks to be a productive player that has been slotted around where the Packers are drafting at 15
Yep.
too.
Tankathon, which is it's the easiest one that I've go to. So
Do they do like an aggregate too,
I think
right?
they
Or am
might.
I wrong?
I think they might be. I haven't ever read their rules or anything about it. Um, yeah, but according to them, Lucas Van Ness is 22 to the Chargers, so 7-ish picks later. But there's been bigger reaches in the NFL, like Jordan Love in the first round. Um, the other one I had was Tyree Wilson. He is also slated to go towards the top end of the first round. He's at 5 currently to the Seahawks, which is the Broncos pick. But um, the difference between him and Miles Murphy, at least in my brief research here on the NFL Draft Buzz, Tyree Wilson a little bit better of a pass or a run defender than Miles Murphy. I don't think Murphy did a whole lot of that. At least according to, I guess, 79 and 80, not too much of a difference, but 8 sacks in his senior year at Texas Tech. Tyree Wilson had, along with 32 QB hurries and 10 QB hits. So I'm I'm good with it. I think, like I said, edges are the biggest thing for the Packers, just to get that defense up to snuff and getting home to the quarterback. Because as we talked about a couple pods ago, getting home to the quarterback was a big part of their issue on the defensive line. So
Hmm.
having
Hmm.
more power of that off the edge, super dope. All right, Jordan, who or where is your second position of need um, that you'd like to see the Packers draft?
Second position of need. I don't know if this will show up on your list.
Hmm,
Safety.
that's also my second.
Oh my God. Okay, then we're gonna have the same position, don't we?
Probably, which is fine. Like,
It's fine. You look at the Packers roster and there's decent to good options across like a whole lot of them, and it's like
right.
very stark like where they have to kind of replenish talent.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean safety, it's clear. Uh, Amos is a free agent.
Yep.
Darnell Savage they are on the hook for, but not
just for a year.
just for a year. But part of him being in a down year and because he's going to be a free agent, it forces the need of looking at a safety. Rudy Ford, also a free agent, as we talked about last week too, I
Yep,
believe.
I think so.
Um,
But hopefully they
that
can bring him back on a
leaves,
smaller deal.
yeah, that leaves Bueller. Bueller. I don't think
Uh,
that's there's any safety,
yeah,
right?
pretty much. Dale
It's just
Levitt, I'm
savage
pretty.
that they have like,
Yeah.
uh,
No, they have Treat Carpenter. He's just technically a safety,
oh yeah, okay.
but I don't really feel like
So a
starting.
guy that got benched midway through the year and a special
Yeah, and
special
I
teamer.
think he was a rookie last year.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
yes, he
was.
was.
Yeah, so
So kind of reinforces the urgency. And as you just noted, Brian Gutekunst, this will be his sixth NFL draft or seventh.
something like that.
The only year when he's picked an offensive player in the first round. Jordan Love, 2020.
And we'll see how that turns out. That's
Exactly.
essentially how we're
Come on, Jordan. Yeah.
how we're sitting.
So yeah, safety. Um, Unfortunately, there's only really one guy that within first round range of where the Packers are selecting that stood out to me that could be, I guess, a solid pick.
Yeah, and I fell in love with him in my brief research with it. Like he's the kind of the guy I want to pick if we keep that 15 pick.
Brian Branch,
Yeah,
Alabama.
yeah. Like I'm a big fan, truthfully. Mostly because his tackling rating is 100% on this NFL Draft Buzz website.
Sign
Like
me up.
I am so here. I am so ready, listeners, for a safety that can tackle properly. Like I remember the dog days of watching Haha Clinton Dix tackle. Like I'm sorry, attempt tackling.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
um,
to
go ahead.
your to your point. Oh God, I thought I was gonna get the number, the tackling from PFF too, because that is also I don't have it. Never mind. Never
So,
mind.
yeah, no problem. I can get it in a second too. Um, Junior coming out of Alabama in his sophomore and junior years, he had 2 sacks each year as a safety, as well as 10 pressures his junior year and 6 pressures his junior year. Or, I'm sorry, 10 pressures his sophomore year, 6 pressures his junior year. Had a big improvement on his passer rating when targeted from his sophomore to his junior year, big jump. In 2021, his sophomore year, he had a QB rating of 110.9 when targeted, and then in 2022 he had a 75.5 QB rating when targeted. So big improvement. So yeah, I'm a big fan. Like just the biggest fan. Plus, he returned 2 punts
Just about to say that. Yeah.
against whatever college ULM is, University of Louisiana,
You
Maryville, maybe
Monroe.
Monroe. Darn. But yeah, it's against lesser opponents. But
Yeah.
if you can do it, then maybe it gives us some flexibility to Keyshawn Nixon's role, keeps him healthy for defending, or just another person who can do it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I think I've fallen in branch, not love, Jordan.
Mm.
I'm bringing my jokes out.
I'll extend this olive branch to you.
Yeah, his ranks just going through these tackling 100%, run defense 96%. Another big reason to love him is if he's a good run defender and a
Mhm.
good tackler and can cover well. Like, what is there not to love?
That seems to be everything.
Yeah, coverage 89% and then 87% for both of zone and man slash press coverage. So he he is the number one safety, I believe. I think Tankathon has him like below a different cornerback. So I'm big for it. He's fast. He has a 444 40 time. So Man's quick, and I'm just big fan. 2 interceptions, and just bring him to me, please, on a silver platter, and I'll be quite a happy podcaster. Third position, we might have the same listing. I think we probably do.
We will.
Yeah, mine's wide receiver.
Oh,
What?
no, we
So no,
won't.
we won't.
Oh, okay.
Alrighty.
Okay.
I put wide
Let's differ a
receiver
little bit.
because we are likely going to lose Allen Lazard.
Yes.
And in my lovely mindset of we're trading Aaron Rodgers for to the Raiders or to whomever, then because the Raiders have pick 7 and the Jets have pick 13. So ideally we trade him to the Raiders to get that number 7 overall
I
pick.
I am I just have to interject this
Yep,
thought.
go ahead.
It is a little disconcerting. As much as I think that Aaron Rodgers will be leaving, that you're already just like, yeah, we got one of those picks. You're just like already on board that
Oh
it's either
yeah,
gonna be the
it's
Raiders.
horrendous. It's horrendous. It's what it like
Don't talk to Tom Pelissero about
yeah.
that because they, yeah.
I should slow my roll. You are right. But the reports coming
Mhm.
out don't seem positive that he's going to be returning.
No.
With that being said, operating under the assumption that
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers does become a Raider and the Packers do get 7 and 15 or get 7 and keep 15. Um Taking an edge rusher at that number 7 pick, or if you really really wanted to reach for Brian Branch, you can go ahead and do that, but I'd rather the edge at that point. Um but why what's a better way to get all of the articles written about the Packers than to draft a wide receiver in the first round after Rodgers leaves? Not being the point, but like a
It'd be
core,
funny.
it'd be that I don't think I'd be able to survive the discourse on it because it'd be just bad. But the point being is that why not draft a first round wide receiver to pair with Christian Watson and Romeo Dobbs? Like, there's a lot of talent there at the wide receiver position in this first round, of which my top target is Quentin Johnson from TCU. He was a huge reason why the TCU Horned Bullfrogs had, or Horned Frogs, not Horned Bullfrogs, had such a great year and went to the college football final. Like, he
Hmm.
was a huge reason for that. But even if like they wanted to, if they get 7 and then trade 15 for more picks down to like Baltimore, who probably could use wide receiver, if they love a guy, or to the Chargers, who maybe want a wide receiver. I mean, hell, maybe even the Bucks. Maybe
Yeah.
they want one with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, if with how that goes. But
Hmm.
for all intents and purposes, like just getting a high upside receiver to pair with Christian Watson and Romeo Dobbs would be really good if you're talking about a young core of specialists and Jordan Love, Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, and insert talented rookie wide receiver here. That's kind of my thought process of why that's my next point of need. It might not be the actual third most position of need, but it's my third most position of need and how I like to see this roster constructed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not wrong.
Yeah.
Definitely not wrong
Yeah.
because the depth is already thin and you're losing one of your, you know,
Big
top dependable options.
yeah, your biggest target shares, guys.
Yeah. So, yeah, either way, they are going to be drafting a wide receiver,
Yeah.
whether it's first round or a day 2 pick or whatever. Like
Right.
it's,
I
and especially how limited they are in free agency.
right. I don't want them to if so say Aaron Rodgers stays, I don't want them to draft the receiver at 15 with like that pick. I'd rather them do Brian Branch or something else.
Yeah.
Like I don't want their only first round pick to be a receiver. I think that is not a good idea.
Hmm.
But if they have two, I'd like a receiver with one of them. But that's my um my analysis but Jackson Smith, Najuba from Ohio State, I probably butchered his last name there. But or Jordan Addison from USC. I know Jordan Addison's like a pretty high upside guy, but has a little bit of work to do, if I'm not mistaken. Just on a little bit of discourse I saw during college football season and after the season. So, what is your third position of need?
Well, it's not wide receiver, but it's pretty close to it. It's tight end.
Yeah, that's my fourth. Because like
Yeah.
I think they're they're equal for the same reasons to me. Like, but go ahead.
Well, it's more of I mean, it's an under the radar one because you could look at last year and how Tunyon did, and we graded out his year, and it was like it was good, like especially coming off an ACL, but it was also kind of misleading, especially the value of it was just very different when the offense wasn't working the way it should have been
Right.
or what they hoped it would have.
Mm-hmm.
And had a super productive 2020. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, where he had
And
like 12 touchdowns or something.
yeah, gets hurt the next year. And whether it's Rodgers or Love, they just didn't have like that middle of the field threat that way. That as good as Tunney is, and he's wherever he goes, if it's still in Green Bay, which I would be surprised, but he's going to be on another NFL team and could easily pop with him again, like he's shown it to be case. I just I would like to see like a different dimension, and especially if Love is the starting quarterback,
Yeah.
having that safety valve of it doesn't even have to be the most athletic guy. It could be I'm just using Marseilles Lewis because he's totally different than what Rob or Tunney is.
Right.
But like just having something like that just helps a young quarterback really find his way. And obviously, I think too, like that also plays in the factor of like why the Packers offense stalled out in playoffs,
Mm-hmm.
especially like Tunyon being hurt for that 49ers playoff game. That was another big
Yep.
spot that they just didn't have to fill or
Yeah.
couldn't fill. So yeah, that's my reasoning behind it. Some of the names, I believe Todd McShay has actually projected this man to the Packers in his latest mock draft. Michael Mayer from Notre Dame. Another projected tight end for, I believe, Daniel Jeremiah of NFL.com. Dalton Kincaid. I'm sure the
Packers
more I learn.
Packers
Sorry,
Twitter
what were you going to say?
Packers Twitter loves Dalton Kincaid, and I have seen a few clips of him. And for what it's worth, I think he'd be a good pick as well. He is currently mocked at 29 to the Bengals in on Tankathon. But again,
Okay.
it's a mock draft, people.
Yeah. How people grade players, especially in the NFL, like
Yeah.
it's totally, totally different.
Though there's always one reach, and I think Dalton Kincaid could be one of those reaches. Like I'm trying to think of a team like Jordan Addison, or I'm sorry, not Jordan. I'm reading a name of a team that I think could use a receiver or a tight end. The Jaguars could use a tight end. Like I think they employ OJ Howard, if I'm not mistaken. Or the Seahawks at 20. Like they could use a tight end. So, but sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I think, look, it goes back to Goody always or only taking Love first round or two. It is essentially the same thing of like, do you make that investment in a tight end that I I feel like a lot of teams are gonna be like how looking at like how Kyle Pitts was, where he's viewed as this generational tight end
Yeah.
player, and it has not worked out at all.
To be fair, that is a Falcons issue. That is not a
Yes.
Kyle Pitts issue.
Yes.
Their coach hates that man. Like I don't
Yeah.
know if he called him a mean name in practice one time or like stole his last bag of Doritos. I don't know, dude. Like
And plus, they don't have their quarterback either.
Right. But even when they had Matt Ryan, or not, who was there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Matt
Matt
Ryan.
Ryan. When they had Matt Ryan in his rookie year, they still didn't throw to him. Like
Hmm.
it's he need that they need to get that man out of Atlanta. Like if they want to trade uh, Kyle Pitts to the Packers for a song, I'd be the happiest man on
Let's do it.
earth.
You'll be the band leader.
That's right.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Tight ends are a weird position to draft
It
because
is.
you like what's it's hard to predict upside of a um of a tight end because like the best tight end in the league right now is Travis Kelsey without a doubt. Travis Kelsey drafted in the third round. Um, I'm trying to think of others like Darren Waller. Where was he drafted? I I'm pretty sure it wasn't the first round, sixth round. Like
Gronk was a second round pick.
right, like none of these guys are usually first round picks.
And how many times have we heard the story of like, oh, this guy used to be on such and such playing basketball, college basketball, and didn't play college football, and then
Right,
shows up to or signs like over the offseason as like a undrafted free agent and becomes Antonio Gates, or Tony Gonzalez was not like this, but like because I think he was drafted.
right. I
There's
have a
just so many of those stories too of like these guys popping out of nowhere
mm-hmm.
and getting jobs in the NFL like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Antonio Gates was the biggest one. Like he was
Hmm.
is just the biggest one. I did find a list of the all the top or the first round picks of tight ends since 2000. Kyle Pitts we mentioned. Noel Font, the tight end for now the Seahawks. He was the tight
Or
end for the
the
Broncos for a while. He was
mhm.
picked 20. Obviously Pitts was picked 4. TJ Hawkinson at 8 is a good pick. Like he's a good tight end. He's not like a star, but he's good. Um, Hayden Hurst to the Ravens was 25. Like
Interesting.
he's fine. I think that might be a typo. I thought he was a Bengal.
He was drafted by the Ravens, but
Maybe they cut him or something.
he was, yeah, I think he was something.
Yeah. David Njoku to the Browns, 29. Like that's late first round. That's fine there. Like Evan Ingram, 23. He's fine. That's who is the Jaguars tight end is Evan
Yes.
Ingram, not OJ Howard.
Yes.
But speaking of OJ Howard, he was a first round pick, 19.
Yes, he was.
Eric Ebron, like he's
Whoa.
fine. This is 2014 now. Tyler Eifert, I can go for a while, but you get the point that like scrolling through. Greg Olson in 2007 was pick 31. Like he's good.
He panned out.
Yeah, yeah,
That's probably like the most, like he wasn't like a top five. Well, maybe he was.
yeah.
I only look at it through a fantasy realm.
There was a little streak there from '05 to '07. Heath Miller, he was good. Vernon
Vernon
Davis,
Davis,
he
he
was
won
good.
one, right?
Vernon Davis went 6.
Oh,
I don't.
I don't know why I said that
I
one.
do not know if a
Jesus.
tight end went 1.
Jesus. What was I thinking?
But then Big Dog in '06 as well at 28.
Mm.
So like, I think there's a lot of
Famed.
volatility in tight end in the first round, and
It's honestly like wide receivers.
yeah, absolutely, it makes sense. They're kind of the same thing. Like
Hmm.
if you don't catch the ball well and then subsequently you can't run block, then you're kind of just out of the league. So,
And
or bouncing around.
what helps you as a college prospect when you come to the pros and how much of a jump you have to make? It's like
Right.
you are matched athletically, physically. Like what is separating you in the general sense of like
Right.
against NFL players? Like it makes it that much harder.
Right. Absolutely. So, yeah, we'll see. We're gonna get into a lot more draft talk as the draft continues, but check out the combine this week. If check out some highlights, just go study up on some prospects you'd like to see, and join the Discord gspn.info. The invite is right in there, and come and talk in Packers pals, and let us know who you'd like to see the Packers take with their owned first round pick at 15, or concoct some pipe dream trades that you might want to pitch and see how they can get 3 first round picks or something like that. So that is it for us. A couple promos to get to. I should say that is it. Do you have anything else, Jordan, or should we wrap up?
No, I'm good. I think that
Okay,
it's just a little sprinkling,
just a
just a
little
little
something.
sprinkling,
Just a little
just a little.
something.
We got 2 more months of this. We're talking draft
Oh,
prospects.
it is like 2 months almost to the day because I think it
Hmm.
is like April 24th or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2 months tomorrow, I believe, because it starts on a Thursday.
Yes.
Thursday,
Yeah.
Thursday, Thursday. Um, but yeah, a couple promos. As always, check out all the GSPN shows, Eurostep, Cruising for a Bruising, make time for this, 1 in 6, and just check them all out. Cruising for a Bruising dropped on Tuesday. They talked all of the recent Brewers ads. I'm repping my Brewers shirt right now. Tyler Ranquin, Luke Voigt, and Justin Wilson all signed, I think, minor league deals, if I'm not mistaken, but they broke through. Regardless, they signed deals with the Brewers.
Yeah.
I'm personally excited for Luke Voigt. He was a big masher with the Yankees 2 years ago, and then had a down year last year. And maybe he can recapture it with the Brewers. The Brewers add another large white man to play first base, in addition to Roy Telez. But yeah, Adam McGee and Andrew Snyder talked all about that in the on spring training. And I almost forgot, Jordan. You hopped on an episode of Cruising for a Bruising to talk the the AmFam funding debate, as well as were you on the arbitration anger episode
I
or
was
no?
not on that one.
Okay,
It was bubbling underneath the surface of
yeah.
when we were recording the
Shameless
AmFam stuff.
plug. Shameless plug though. I wrote an article about
Yes, you did.
Mark Attanasio and his cheapness when it comes to Corbin Burns' contract. So you can go to the Substack to read that.
It's free.
It do be
Just like
free.
how just like how Mark wants it.
Tad Rohan dropped a Eurostep episode on Monday. They did a Bucks stock market evaluation, just checking out where everybody is. And then I'm trying to remember if Make Time for This dropped recently. Do you remember? I can check it out, but
It did.
the thrills of Knock at the Cabin and an increasingly self-aware M. Night Shyamalan. That dropped last week. So go check out Make Time for This. The Drunk Drawer Pod, as we like to call it, even though everything there is pure treasure. Um, do you have a 1 in 6 episode that has dropped?
We have recorded a post All-Star break crossover with Ty Windish of the Eurostep, and a lot of things have happened since we recorded it. So your guess is as good as mine of what will be out and about for the public. So we'll figure that out as
Yeah,
behind the scenes. But yeah, there will be some semblance of a crossover, I would imagine, up for your ears very soon.
right. Also, you guys dropped an episode on Thursday when we dropped Talk 100 last week of the potential ownership change as
Mhm.
Jimmy, and D Haslam are reportedly in discussions to buy Mark Lazar's ownership stake. Football connection, Jimmy Haslam, the man who paid Deshaun Watson a big contract, fully guaranteed. So
Owns the Cleveland Browns.
go check it out because
A
it's a good one.
69-year-old man named Jimmy.
God, that's that. And no more promotions. As a reminder, go enter the contest to win the Bobby Portis jersey. Make your donations and subscribe to the podcast, all that good stuff. I juked out Jordan there on the count. Go check out the GSP info for the forum to come join us to watch Bucks and Brewers games on April 4th at a TBD location, and go join Repod. So you put up a fourth finger. I think that's it.
I think that's it.
All right, guys. Thank you everybody for listening. We'll be back next week with another episode. And Jordan, thank you.
Thank you.